Hey everybody, and welcome to Stock Abilities. Today I'm going to be covering the Naked Brand Group. I've covered it numerous times before, so check out my other videos in the playlist. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be covering the Naked Brand Group and what exactly happened. Unfortunately, it was yet another delay. That delay kind of made the price crash down. So everybody was all hopeful about it, and they got excited, and then the merger did not happen quite yet. There was a big dip. A lot of day traders and other people went and jumped in on board to kind of attack it, especially shorts. And what makes me think that, if you just check out the after hours on Thursday, as you can see, this is a lot of covering just out of nowhere. 8,000 shares, 2,000, 2,000. They all kind of match up very similar to each other. And the reason for that is shorts are just covering on an uptick because the fact that it was on a short sale restriction. Short sale restriction prevents the stocks from dipping too heavily based on an alternative uptick rule, which I'll be covering in another video if you want to check that out. Now I'm going to go a little bit further here. I covered this before, but it's still on the cup and handle pattern. It's been at this for quite a while now. It's looking very, very, very clear over a long period of time, and as you can see, cup and handle pattern, pretty simple to identify. Now, the date that it was delayed from was April 10th to May 26th, 2017, but I don't believe that it'll take that long, and I'll be covering that here in just a little bit, but we're going to jump to the next part here. The amendment includes a $34 million in positive adjustments to the net debt target for the anticipated combined company's balance sheet at the close of the transaction, and then it was in a little bit of details about that. But ultimately, it's a positive change rather than a negative, so that in turn should impact the value of the stock price and, of course, the shares that they can give to Newco and all that kind of stuff. And how that's going to break down is yet to be seen, but we'll see here coming up soon. Something to note here also, each member of the Naked Management Group as of the close of this date is a stockholder of Naked, shall agree in writing not to sell Naked shares until the closing date, subject to customary exceptions. Now this is just for just a general management group that's a stockholder, uh, not really anything that's going to impact the general shareholders. Something else to note, the naked executives shall agree in writing not to sell their respective Naked shares for a period of 6 months after the closing date. That is something to keep in mind as well. So they're going to be locked into their shares, maybe not as long as we might have thought, but that's still a pretty long time. Other than that, nothing else really to mention in this portion here. And we're going to go to here. Just some more or less fluff hype, not really anything substantial, but it's worth mentioning that Carol here says, "We have been working very closely with Bendon to ensure that the proposed merger is structured in such a way that it is advantageous to the combined go-forward company as well as our current shareholders." So in a sense, they're trying to benefit the shareholders as much as they can, and I believe they're going in the right direction. Unfortunately, I believe they could have probably skipped over a few amendments and probably got this out a little bit quicker and a little bit more professionally, I would say. But ultimately, I mean, you got Bendon that's not even generally from the U.S., working with a U.S. SEC, so it's probably a little bit different for them and a lot of restrictions that they probably weren't expecting. And to go no further, to that end, we are very pleased that we have a stronger balance sheet, which should provide a solid platform for both organic growth and future potential acquisitions. So they're probably going to be acquiring more. If you looked at Bendon's history, they are very interested in this kind of aspect of acquisitions. And then it says, importantly, we are committed to and diligently working towards the completion of this merger. And then Justin Davis Rice chimes in here, the executive chairman of Bendon, commented, "I am pleased with the hard work that has been done to recapitalize the business, redomicile the company, and ensure that we are optimally positioned to a go-forward combined company. We remain committed to completing the merger with Naked and to believe that this transformative merger will create a global intimate apparel leader with strong growth prospects. So basically, looking over this, that doesn't sound like there's any doubt the merger is not going to go through. The problem is the continued delays, and if they delay again, that might actually harm their stock. Surprisingly, this delay really didn't have much of an impact on the overall stock price if you look over the history here. Other than that, the only other thing to note is that the annual report, certain in section 13 and 15, blah, 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 essentially the earnings report, annual earnings report was on 4/29/2016. So if you use that as a base, you're going to be expecting the earnings report for Naked coming up here soon. And essentially what that means is that the Bendon and Naked merger, you got the HSN, you got the other stuff, all this is going to come into light to give a more clear picture of just how profitable all that's been lately, so keep that in mind. I believe I covered everything in this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you'd like more videos like this. Have a nice day.